Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Buffalo. I am Olivia Owens and I am a member of the youth group. I extend a warm welcome to all this morning and a special welcome to those of you who are visiting or new to the church. If you are a newcomer, we welcome the opportunity to meet you and to tell you about our church and all its activities. There are always coffee and conversation in the parish hall after the service and friendly people who would like to talk to you. You can also sign up at our welcome table to get the newsletter electronically or pick up a copy there so you know what is going on. If you're a family here for the first time with children or youth, we welcome both you and your children. The younger will be going to their activities later in the service and the youth are here for the service. If your children would like to leave the service with the others, you can find out more in the Alliance Room. We also have a cozy nursery for the youngest ones if they would be more comfortable there. One of our ushers can explain how to get where you want to go. And of course, young folks are always welcome to stay here in the sanctuary for the entire worship service. Our theme today is, basically, we are all equal.
Good morning and welcome. I'm Francesca Doria and I'm a member of the youth group. Our theme this morning is, basically, we're all equal. Social equality is when all people within a society have the same status in certain respects. At the very least, social equality includes equal rights under the law, such as security, voting rights, freedom of speech and assembly, property rights, and equal access to social goods and services. It also includes equal opportunities and obligations. Social equality requires the absence of legally enforced social class boundaries and discrimination motivated by an inalienable part of a person's identity. For example, sex, gender, race, age, sexual orientation, and religion, to name a few. Unitarian Universalists have long been supporters of equality, as are the members of our youth group. On behalf of the youth group, I invite you to gather with us for a morning of worship.
Please rise in body or in spirit for the lighting of the chalice. The affirmation can be found on the first page of the order of service. We light our chalice to remind us to use our powers, to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve the spirit of freedom. In the freedom of truth and the spirit of love, we unite for the worship of the holy and the service of humanity. Thank you.
We invite all children and young at heart to join us for our story, The Starbelly Sneetches by Dr. Seuss.
Now the Starbelly Sneetches had bellies with stars. The plain belly Sneetches had none upon theirs. Those stars weren't so big, they were really so small. You may think such a thing wouldn't matter at all.
But because they had stars, and all the Starbelly Sneetches would brag, we're the best kind of Sneetch on the beaches. With their snoots in the air, they would sniff and they'd snort. We'll have nothing to do with the plain belly sort. And whenever they met some, when they were out walking, they'd hike right on past them without even talking.
When the Starbelly children went out to play ball, could a plain belly get in the game? Not at all. You only could play if your bellies had stars, and the plain belly children had none upon theirs.
When the Starbelly Sneetches had Frankenfurter roasts, or picnics, or parties, or marshmallow toasts, they never invited the plain belly Sneetches. They left them out cold in the dark of the beaches. They kept them away, never let them come near, and that's how they treated them year after year.
Then one day, it seems, while the plain belly Sneetches were moping and doping alone on the beaches, just sitting there wishing their bellies had stars, a stranger zipped up in the strangest of cars.
My friends, he announced in a voice clear and keen. My name is Sylvester McMonkey McBean, and I've heard of your troubles. I've heard you're unhappy, but I can fix that. I'm the fix-it-up chappie. I've come here to help you. I have what you need, and my prices are low, and I work at great speed. And my work is 100% guaranteed.
Then quickly, Sylvester McMonkey McBean put together a very peculiar machine. And he said, "You want stars like the Starbelly Sneetch? My friends, you can have them for $3 each."
Just pay me your money and hop right aboard. So they clambered inside, and the big machine roared. It clonked and it bonked and it jerked and it burked, and it popped them about, but the thing really worked. When the plain belly Sneetches popped out, they had stars. They really did. They had stars upon bars.
Then they yelled at the ones who had stars at the start, "We're exactly like you. You can't tell us apart. We're all just the same, now you old snooty smarties, and now we can go to your Frankenfurter parties."
Good grief, groaned the ones who had stars at the first. We're still the best Sneetches, and they are the worst. But now, how in the world will we know, they all frowned, if which is what kind or the other way round?
Then came McBean with a very sly wink, and he said, "Things are not quite as bad as you think. So you don't know who's who. That's perfectly true. But come with me, friends. Do you know what I'll do? I'll make you again the best Sneetches on beaches, and it will cost you $10 eaches."
Belly stars are no longer in style, said McBean. What you need is a trip through my star-off machine. This wondrous contraption will take off your stars, so you won't look like the Sneetches who have stars upon theirs. And that handy machine worked very precisely, removed all the stars from their tummies quite nicely.
Then with snoots in the air they paraded about, and they opened their beaks and let out a shout. "We know who is who. Now there isn't a doubt. The best kind of Sneetches are the Sneetches without."
Then, of course, those with stars got frightfully mad. To be wearing a star was now frightfully bad. Then, of course, old Sylvester McMonkey McBean invited them to his star-off machine. Then, of course, from then on, as you probably guess, things got really into a horrible mess.
All the rest of that day, on those wild screaming beaches, the fixed-up chappie kept fixing up Sneetches. Off again, on again, in again, out again. Through the machines they raced round and about again, changing their stars every minute or two. They kept paying money, they kept running through, until neither Plain Belly nor Star Bellies knew whether this one was that one, or what one was this one, or which one was what one, or what one was who.
Then, when every last cent of their money was spent, the fix-it-up chappie packed up and he went. And he laughed as he drove in his car up the beach. They will never learn. No, you can't teach a Sneetch.
But McBean was quite wrong, I'm quite happy to say, that the Sneetches got really quite smart on that day. The day they decided the Sneetches are Sneetches, and no kind of Sneetch is the best on the beaches. That day all the Sneetches forgot about stars, and whether one had one or not upon theirs. The end.
Okay, we're going to sing the children to their classes. So hymn number 413, Go Now in Peace. Now in peace, go now in peace.
Let us join our hearts and minds in a time of spoken prayer and unspoken contemplation. We hold in our thoughts and prayers today all those around the world and all in this congregation who are experiencing trouble and loss or celebrating in joy. Our love is with the family of Edmund and Kathleen Burke, as Ed's memorial service will be held here in the sanctuary at 2:00 p.m. today. Calissa Sissoko wishes caring thoughts for a co-worker who has recently passed. We welcome 2 new additions to the congregation this week. Maya Grace Friel, daughter of Grace Friel, born Monday, March 31st, and Molly Ann Adams, daughter of Stephanie Cole Adams and Garrett Adams, a sister of Sebastian Cole Goldberg, born Tuesday, April 1st. Welcome, babies, and congratulations, happy families. Caitlin Steinberg Caitlin Steinberg is happy to announce that she is going to be a godmother and an aunt again, as her first great goddaughter has just turned 1-year-old April 1st. With these words that have been spoken and all those unspoken in our minds and hearts, let us hold a moment of silence. Universal Spirit of life, God of many names, source of all being in which we live and breathe and have our being. We come together in prayer, even though many of us struggle with what that means. We come together to stand before that which is greater than us, although we struggle to say what that is. And so on this day we pray for those things we struggle with, for the conflict we feel within ourselves and between us and those we love. We pray for guidance, compassion, for the opening of a path. We pray for those things that bring us joy and hope. For those things that we trust in, believe in, and will sacrifice for. These are gifts of grace, and perhaps we need not to find them in order to savor them, rejoice in them, and be thankful for them. May we hold in our hearts gratitude for those things that bless us with their presence, forgiveness for the ways we have turned from those blessings, and the willingness to open ourselves anew to this beautiful and hurting world. What we do know is that we gather this in the name of truth, compassion, and justice. This we pray. Amen, and blessed be.
A reading, Equality by Maya Angelou. You declare you see me dimly, through a glass which will not shine, though I stand before you boldly, trim in rank and making time. You do own to hear me faintly, as a whisper out of range, while my drums beat out the message and the rhythms never change. Equality, and I will be free. Equality, and I will be free. You announce my ways are wanton, that I fly from man to man. But if I'm just a shadow to you, could you ever understand? We have lived a painful history. We know the shameful past. But I keep on marching forward, and you keep on coming last. Equality, and I will be free. Equality, and I will be free. Take the blinders from your vision, take the padding from your ears, and confess you've heard me crying, and admit you've seen my tears. Hear the tempo so compelling, hear the blood throb through my veins. Yes, my drums are beating nightly, and the rhythms never change. Equality, and I will be free. Equality, and I will be free. church is a community of connection and celebration, creating bonds of shared commitment and love. This is the time of year when we recognize all the volunteers who make the work of the church possible. Today in the parish hall after service, you can help decorate hats for our special volunteer recognition Sunday next Sunday. Also, plan to attend the Network of Religious Communities annual appreciation dinner on May 8th. Details are in your printed announcements, and your reservation is needed by April 20th. The planning has begun for the summer worship services, which begin June 22nd and go until Labor Day, featuring preaching from church members and guest ministers. If you want to lead a summer service, write up a proposal and send it electronically to the church office by May 1st. Details are in the printed announcements. And now here is a special announcement from the Ministerial Search Committee.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How fabulous are these guys? They may be your babies, but these are my babies. And now, without any further ado, I'd like to introduce my friend and fellow committee member, John Marone.
Good morning. For this old guy, can I say you guys rock? Oh man, those words in the music this morning, "You're Not Alone," were unbelievably comforting. Could the committee stand up this morning? Ken Manley, Christina Church, Doug Sherman, Katz, McGriff Powers, Tracy Kassman, Martha Malkowitz, I think, is doing her soup thing this morning. No, she's not here. Okay. Okay. Wow. Thank you, guys. This announcement comes from the collective group this morning. First of all, on behalf of the search committee, thank you all for your confidence and support. Our committee continues to discover that the search process for a civil minister is a labor of love. We completed the first stage of the search process recently. This stage was enlightening for all of us, the committee, and all of the very talented prospectives and pre-candidates. Towards the end of the first stage, however, because of some circumstances beyond our committee's control, and because two pre-candidates decided, for their own reasons, to pursue different and contrasting courses of action, the Ministerial Search Committee is publicly announcing to the congregation today that we are going to a second round. That second round, very simply, will be to renew the process of searching for a pre-candidate starting in mid-April and most likely continue into May. We will be considering ministers not placed during the first round and ministers who entered the search process since last fall. A successful search will lead to a candidating week in late May or early June. We would like you all to know that many wonderful, wonderful settled ministers have come out of a second round process, including Peter Morales, our current UUA president. As a committee, we know that this process has been long and sometimes quite arduous, but we remain very optimistic, especially knowing our church's profound ability to adapt to new and changing circumstances. And we can assure you, the congregation, that we, the search committee, will continue the high standards and criteria you are looking for in a settled minister, standards which you gave to us so eloquently in your survey responses, the cottage meetings, Elmwood Avenue, and all of the informal conversations you have had with us. We eagerly look forward to the second round process and know that you as a congregation will continue your generous support. We have also been assured by the UUA Transitions Office in Boston of its full support during the second round search. Within the limits of the committee's necessary confidentiality, some of us will be available after the worship service to answer any questions as best we can. Thank you.
Today, we enter a new month of sharing our collection plate with an organization doing work we believe in. For the month of April, the Share the Plate recipient is, in recognition of Earth Day, Buffalo Niagara Riverkeeper. Riverkeeper is a community-based organization dedicated to protecting the quality and quantity of water while connecting people to water. They do this by cleaning up pollution from our waterways, restoring fish and wildlife habitat, and enhancing public access through greenways that expand parks and open space. Buffalo Niagara Riverkeeper is a member of the Global Waterkeeper Alliance. This is work that is in alignment with our values and commitments, and work this church can support. I invite you to be generous. This church is a community of love and connection, a community that gathers, inspires, and transforms. The church exists only because we support it with our activity and our financial support. For the love we share, for the work we do together, we respond with generosity. We will now take an offering to support the work of this church in the wider world.
When I was in the 3rd grade, I thought that I was gay, because I could draw what my uncle was, and I kept my room straight. I told my mom, tears rushing down my face. She's like, Ben, you love girls since before pre-K, trip. Yeah, I guess she had a point, didn't she? A bunch of stereotypes all in my head. I remember doing the math, like, yeah, I'm good at Little League, a preconceived idea of what it all meant. For those that like the same sex, had the characteristics, the right-wing conservatives think it's a decision, and you can be cured with some treatment and religion. Man-made rewiring or predisposition playing God. Nah, here we go. America, the brave, still fears what it don't know. And God loves all his children. It's somehow forgotten. But we paraphrase a book written 3,500 years ago. It's human right for everybody. There is no difference. So live on and be yourself. When I was at church, they taught me something else. And if you preach hate at the service, those words aren't annoying. The holy water that you soak in, it has been poisoned. But everybody else is more comfortable remaining voiceless, rather than fighting for humans that have had their rights stolen. Maybe I'm not the same, but that's not important. No freedom till we're equal. Damn right, I'll support it. So strip away the fear. Underneath it's all the same love, and it's about time we all raise up.
Hi, my name is Florian Wachter. Although I'm not a senior, this is my last year in youth group. That's because I'm an exchange student from Austria and I'll be leaving by the end of this school year. I never knew what it is like to move into a new neighborhood, how it feels when you don't know anyone, when you are the new kid. But I still went on this adventure to stay with someone I never met before, to go to a new school, not knowing a single person. I came to America not really knowing where I would end. I came here not really knowing if I would get along with people. But I wasn't really afraid, I just hoped for the best. And I got even more. I immediately found friends. And I found something not many people on this earth have, a second family. A new group of people that will stay in my mind forever. Wherever I went, I was treated like everyone else. The same goes for the youth group. On the first day I came here, I was a part of it right away. It is not easy to be the new guy, but if everyone would be as welcoming as this group of people sitting here in this church, it would make it a little bit less hard.
This poem is Never Say Goodbye by Kabi Avidakena. No distance is too great, or your memory will not live on. Never say goodbye. Never say goodbye. Then we will live on in the sweetness of your soul. Never say goodbye. Listen to our hearts beat as one as we walk away, forever glancing back. Never say goodbye. You and I will live on together in our dreams. So never, never, never ever say goodbye.
Hi, my name is Katie Sloan. I'm a senior and planning to attend SUNY New Paltz in the fall for art education. I've been going to this church since I was born. However, my first memory here was during my second year of pre-K. The memory begins right in the middle of circle time around the tablecloth with Miss Lucy and Miss Eileen. We were running through the usual Sunday morning routine by reciting the chalice lighting with corresponding hand movements and singing the Happy Sunday song to get us in the church school mindset. It was going as usual until Helena's mom showed up at the classroom door asking for me. We were all surprised. No one usually disrupts the circle. But she asked me a question that is more surprising to me than the interruption. She asked me if I wanted to go to kindergarten. This was a strange question to ask a 4-year-old. I had never made a real decision beyond what my favorite color was. Why would I want to leave this room full of toys, crafts, and snacks? But the more important question was, did I even want to go? I had to consider what I was getting myself into. Would I make friends? Would there still be playtime? It felt like a big step for a younger me, and although it meant leaving the comfort of pre-K, deciding to go to kindergarten was the choice I made, and it made me feel like an adult. Now I have to make a similar decision regarding college, and it has a much greater impact on my life. Do I want to leave my parents, my lifestyle, my youth group? I've been friends with Laura, Jack, and Ben since pre-K, and although Laura's coming with me to New Paltz, we're all mostly parting ways. It really is strange to think about leaving this all behind. In pre-K, I was excited to grow up. Now all I feel is stress at the thought of my future. However, this church and the lessons I've learned here are making me feel more optimistic. The Stepping Stone class, the Coming of Age class, and the youth group taught me to respect others, to respect myself, and to always give all the love I have to offer. So I leave with the words of the Happy Sunday song from pre-K. Happy Sunday, we love you. Happy Sunday, we're so glad to be you. When we blow out the chalice, one light stays aglow. It's the light within our hearts wherever we go. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Laura Testa Petroselli. I'm currently a senior at Williamsville South High School, and I will be attending SUNY New Paltz to major in psychology with a minor in disaster studies in the fall. I've been coming to this church for my entire life. Unitarian Universalism has been a very big part of my growing up. My morals stem from what I've been taught through this religious community. Compassion, inclusivity, assuming best intentions, and honesty are morals that I've picked up as a result of the loving and accepting community I've always been a part of. Ben, Katie, Jack, and I, who are all seniors now, have been going to church together our whole lives. We joke that we've been friends since we were babies and that we met in the church nursery. The four of us know each other in ways that no one else does. We've all seen each other grow up and all the awkward stages between pre-K and now. One of my first solid memories of this church, which incidentally involves Ben, Jack, and Katie, was when I was about 7 or 8. The four of us were in junior choir together in the Alliance Room. Jack and I used to compete to see who could hit the highest note in warm-ups, and he usually won. Basically, these crazy kids have always been a constant in my church life. We went through all of the religious ed program together. We learned about famous UUs and built a time machine. We played copious amounts of getting to know you games, even though we already knew each other. We had a lot of sleepovers, wrote our credos, and went to youth group. Youth group's been awesome the last 4 years. One of my favorite memories from youth group is the haunted basement. In case you were wondering, I'm the creepy girl who's always covered in blood in the doll room. I like to scream a lot. Yeah, okay. The haunted basement's always been so much fun because we get to create something together and then give it back to the church community. Because of growing up as a UU, I've realized that I want to devote my life to visible change and helping people. I've decided to pursue social work, particularly with helping people cope with trauma. Because of the morals instilled in me from Unitarian Universalism, I've discovered this. I can't wait to go to college and take my next step. Hopefully I'll find kindred spirits and like-minded people in college like the ones I've found in this church. I don't know who I would be if I hadn't been raised UU. Everything about my core self, as cheesy as it sounds, is a result of my upbringing in this faith. One of my only constants has been Unitarian Universalism. I've had my strong morals and liberal values as a result of this. I've become the leader and outspoken young woman I am now. I've stayed much happier. Even when I was in a stalemate in my life at school, church, and especially youth group was what I had to look forward to. My main hobbies include youth group and young adult committee events. I'm on a committee that has like 7 or 8 other youth and like 4 adults, and we run all the programming for upstate New York. As silly as it sounds, I really can't fathom what my life would be like if I wasn't a Unitarian Universalist. This faith has always been such a big part of me and will hopefully continue to be in the future. Thank you.
Wow, this mic's up. Good morning. My name is Jack Mernitz. I'm one of the youth group's seniors. I've had the honor and pleasure to know many of you throughout my 18 years growing up in this church. It almost seems like I've spent a lifetime here. Have so far, anyways. Many of you came to know me through my parents, who met here in the church's choir. You may have seen me running up to the choir loft after service, helping with a fantastic Super Sunday program that our church hosts, or cleaning up a youth conference that ended just that morning. The congregation here is so friendly, it's hard to keep track of all the people I've met. Looking back, I remember many wonderful moments that I shared with others during my childhood. I remember coming in early on Sunday mornings to sing with Miss Marion in the junior choir. I treasure the memories we made together. I also fondly recall the sermons of Reverend Joel Miller, who was always so fantastically willing to speak with and listen to us, no matter what age we were. I remember listening to the stories of Miss Martha Malkowitz and Miss Kelly Masters before I wandered off to class. I owe so much to the direction of all my RE teachers over the years. It would take far too long to thank you all properly. I will forever remember the fantastic feeling I get from listening to Music Sunday. Barb Wagner, my godmother, was always ready for a hug afterwards. To this day, I take pride in our wonderful music program here. Now, the people I must thank for so much, the unsung heroes of everything the youth group does, our advisors, Joe Ott, Kathleen Powers, Joan Lotz, and Trevor Mumaw. Sitting through cons, sleepovers, rehearsals, or whatever, they are always willing to talk, and I am not alone in thanking them for all they've done. Now, Ben, Katie, Laura, I've known you since I can remember, and whether it was junior choir or an RE class, or chilling in the youth group, you were always there for me. To the youth group, you taught me that you never really are alone, just as long as you have a you or two to chat with. You guys all mean so much to me. I love you. Love you too. All of these wonderful people have helped me to see what I need to do with my life. I feel that being a civil engineer will allow me to promote equality by improving the state of our communities and our environment. As a result of my years with this wonderful church, I know that it takes people working together to create amazing and wonderful things. Thank you so much for your love, support, and care.
My name is Ben Havey. I'm a senior at Kenmore West High School, and next year I'm going to SUNY Purchase Conservatory for piano performance. Last Wednesday, Katie and I went to Laura's house to finish our senior moments. As you can imagine, not much work got done. We reflected on our time in the youth group and in the RE program as a whole. As the conversation drifted to our outside lives, school, relationships, drama. We were shocked to find how much we have in common. We all valued open communication and honesty in our relationships and knew how valuable reflecting on this was. It turns out that people who spend 18 years growing up together may have a thing or two in common. Laura, Katie, Jack, and I all come from life experiences as different as we are, yet we have one thing in common that gives us an indescribable bond: our growing up at this church. Our expressions of faith have always been different and always will be different, and in that sense, we're basically all equal. What is so unique about us and our faith is that we don't love each other despite our differences, but because of them. This has given me the confidence to speak up for myself and others. I will express my beliefs on my own terms. I can be my own person while still working with a community of my peers based on shared experience. Whenever I meet another Unitarian Universalist through Unirondac, a summer camp I've spent 8 summers at, or a youth conference that gathers dozens of UU youth from around the region, I know that the second I see one, that they are a friend. If we celebrated each other's differences as much in life as we do in our church, this bond that we have can be between anybody. One quote that has struck me as particularly Unitarian was said to me, by all people, by my physics teacher. No one person is right. No one person has the entire truth. We all need each other's differences the same way. Basically, we're all equal. To know anything, we have to draw from many sources and people. We draw from our emotions and from our senses as much as we draw from the sources of our tradition. In the coming years, I'm going to be going into a broader world that will have so much to give, I could never possibly give that much back. Going 5 hours away to college sounds daunting, and although I hope that we can keep our near 2 decades of friendship going, I'm not afraid to walk into my new world as the next great adventure.
Basically, we are all equal, but being equal does not mean we are all the same. We should cherish our differences. They make us interesting. Here today, we represent different ages, genders, sexual orientation, races, and beliefs. Let us value and appreciate those differences. And remember that basically, we are all equal. We hope that you will take this message with you as you go forth today. So may it be. Amen.
We'd like to invite any 8th graders that are in the audience up to come sing with us.
So we are now going to say our chalice extinguishing now. These are the words that we usually use in our youth group. So if you could follow along in your order of service. May our time together renew our hope. May the stories we share refresh our courage. May the songs we sing lift our spirits. May the words we speak invigorate us. May the touch of hands, the sound of laughter, the sight of faces new and familiar restore us in our faith. Thank you.
Sunshine just here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon, thank you. That could go to space with the air like a kid.
After, just so everyone's clear on this again.